Hi, I'm Sheng. Welcome to my channel where I share lessons, tips, and strategies on becoming the best versions of ourselves. The other day, I went to a really cool cafe by the Long Now Foundation. This is an organization that is dedicated to long-term thinking. Basically, this cafe slash bar had this really crazy looking clock that has like planetary movements and all that. And it's the symbol of this organization, right? It is called the Ori, and it is designed to not miss a single second for the next 10,000 years. And this symbol is buried underneath Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin land. This organization's vision makes even Jeff Bezos look pretty small and insignificant. I think that's the point, right? Some of the projects they're involved with is, for example, like the Rosetta Stone, which is to connect all the world's languages as well as to preserve them, as well as bringing back the woolly mammoth. So it's essentially a lot of rich and influential techies and intellectuals, scientists, what have you, who essentially try to foster long-term thinking rather than short-term urgent things, which for the most part, I actually support. This place has a lot of quirks. It's also a library as well as a museum. And as I mentioned, a bar too, right? So on the ceiling of this bar are globes. That's the first thing you'll notice when you walk in. Each of these globes is filled with a kind of whiskey. This whiskey is made in casks from 4,000-year-old junipers. Again, the whole thing is about long-term thinking and the longevity of things. And basically, if you donate $1,500 to this organization, you will get a personalized globe that you can basically tell the bartender to take down and pour for you. So it is pretty cool. So I came away from that just thinking, man, 10,000 years. I know some friends who want to live for 1,000 years, right? But 10,000 years? Holy crap. So that's the first piece. The second piece was on the very same day, while driving back home in San Francisco, I decided to take a side street that I haven't taken before in order to avoid traffic. And this massive house, this mansion of a house at the end of the street caught my eye, and I decided to drive down the street. As I was going towards it, right, all these other beautiful, massive mansion-like houses started appearing too. And I was like, holy crap, who actually lives here? And as I was taking it in, I realized that if I really cared about wealth or the pursuit of wealth and status, looking at these houses would make me feel really, really small, almost insignificant, right? And also kind of just like sad that it would not be attainable. So I was like, man, this must be how it is to pursue that, to try to chase wealth. And then the final and third part was Obama, funny enough, right? I had finished A Promised Land, his latest book, about a couple months back. One of the chapters really stuck out to me, which was when Obama met Gorbachev in Russia. And Gorbachev, at his prime, was one of the most powerful men in the world, right? Probably the number 2 after President of the United States. But when Obama met him in the present, or a couple years back, he was a shadow of himself. The man was irrelevant, essentially, right? And that Putin, at this point, had already taken over. So what really stuck out to me from that chapter was that Obama was reflecting on his own irrelevance over time, right? That within 40 years, his legacy, what he stood for, would essentially be forgotten. And this is arguably one of the most intelligent people who has reached the highest status that one can achieve. And he is already reflecting on how time can erase all things, make irrelevant all people and things. That's the challenge of working outside. You get a lot of planes and soundtracks. And hopefully we can still catch the die in the light. Again, all these things are pretty ephemeral. So all 3 of these things occurred to me in a single day. You have 10,000 years, unimaginable riches, the highest status that one can achieve. So this made me question what really does matter in our lives. What is free and accessible to all of us? My conclusion was human connection. The fact that any of us, doesn't matter of how rich you are or how poor you are, where you are in life, young, old, whatever, you can actually just turn to the person next to you and actually make a connection, make a meaningful conversation, and understand their lives, and come out of that feeling better than how you went into it. And this is so true in all of my interactions lately, that I'm learning, the beauty of connecting with people on a very genuine basis. It's so affordable. All you need is your present time. You don't need to wait 10,000 years for that. You don't need to pay $10 million for it. You don't need to go to school, the highest universities, reach the highest positions in society to do that. You can literally do that at any time with anyone, right? And I think that's the beauty of it. And unfortunately, I think after a certain point in pursuing the money and the status, we actually tend to forget that, right? Because we're either trying to maintain our standard of living, or we're thinking about, the next meeting or where to go next to travel, the next meal, the next whatever it is, that we forget about the present and we forget about the people around us, when that is the guaranteed way to make us happier and more human and more connected, and also to improve upon the world too. I live in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, which is very forward thinking. It's all about future thinking, right? This is why people are here. This is why people are attracted to this place, this ambition. So about a 10-minute walk, less so than that, from the Interval, which is the Long Now Foundation's bar and cafe I talked about, is this beautiful municipal pier, right? This pier, when you walk down it, has the best view of San Francisco. In front of you, you have the Bay Bridge. Behind you, you have the Golden Gate Bridge. To your right, you have Ghirardelli Square. Literally 360 beautiful views all around you. And it's free because it is a public pier. And as I'm walking down it, right, I'm thinking to myself, man, it doesn't matter if you had a really crappy day. If you walk down this pier on a good day, your spirit is guaranteed to be lifted. And once I reached the end of this pier, I saw a sign that said, go to this website if you want to save this place, because it's sinking, it's falling apart. And as I was walking back, I did notice that certain parts was fenced off, right? That literally, if it wasn't fenced off, people can actually fall over on the side and fall into the ocean. This made me really sad, because here I was in the center of innovation, in the center of forward thinking, where everybody is thinking about the future. Nobody is actually thinking about the present. And any of the rich billionaires out there who is living around can probably piece together, amongst all of them, a few million and save this pier, this public good that brings so much joy to everybody who walks through it, right? Yet that's not happening, because we're not focused on the present. And in fact, once you reach a certain status or wealth, you're not walking on this pier. You're not walking amongst the people anymore. You're actually living in your own bubble. Can you imagine Mark Zuckerberg basically walking on this pier? No, he would need a whole security entourage. In many ways, wealth and status will exclude you from a lot of things as well. So all this is to say, to treasure the present, to realize that some of the greatest things in our lives can actually be really attainable, right? That yes, money is important because it pays for all the living expenses that we incur, the roof over our heads, the food we eat, the clean water that we drink. And that status is important, right? Perhaps our self-esteem as well, and indicative of who we are and our achievements. Our achievements are important. However, don't let that get in the way of genuine human connections, especially with the people around us, right? The next time you go to a cafe, the next time you're waiting at a bus stop, the next time you're in a grocery store waiting in line or something, right? Make eye contact, smile at somebody, make somebody's day. These things are free and readily available at any time, and it makes us feel really good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, the sun is always setting behind me, and it's time to pack up and get going. I hope to see you guys next time, very soon.